Hi everyone, Kelly here with Money Gal Coaching, here today to talk about why tracking your spending doesn't actually work. Okay, so tracking your spending and budgeting are two very different things. And while you use them kind of sort of together, they don't give you the same results. So today we are going to talk about what is tracking your spending, what is budgeting, when you should be doing what thing, and why it ultimately matters just so that you can get to your goals and live your dream life. Okay, let's start out with tracking our spending. What that basically means is we're going to look at all of our past expenses and we want to know where has our money been going. Now, this is a really important exercise. I don't want to say that tracking your spending is something that you shouldn't be doing, because absolutely it is the first thing that I want all of my clients to be doing, because it gives us an idea about where our money has been going. And when we know where our money has been going, we kind of see what's been seemingly important to us. Have we been valuing going out to restaurants? Do we really care a lot about buying clothing or booking vacations? And when we start to see where we used to value things, we can decide, is this something that I want to continue valuing, or is this something that I want to maybe set aside because I have bigger goals and aspirations for my life, right? And so while tracking your spending is something that's really important when you're starting out so that you know how much money you should be kind of assigning to different categories, it is not the same as budgeting. And so basically what I mean by that is tracking your spending is looking at all of your past purchases, everything that you've already done, looking at each item and figuring out, where has my money been going? And do I want my money to keep going towards these things? And budgeting is being ahead of the game in deciding, okay, this is how much money I have. These are the items that I value most in my life, and this is where my money is going to be going. So let's dive a little bit deeper into budgeting, and then we'll figure out how the two work together. Okay, so if you're new to all things Money Gal, I talk about a budget a lot because it was something that changed my life, and it was something that once I truly mastered it, and I say that loosely because I don't think any of us can ever fully master a budget. Life is always changing, priorities always change, and we're constantly adjusting our budget as life goes. But once I started knowing how to work with one, how to adjust it as needed, I started accomplishing my goals and I started paying off debt faster. I started having a higher balance in my checking account, and I just had less stress because I was no longer living paycheck to paycheck. I no longer had to rely on figuring out the matrix of the calendar of when I was going to get paid next to figure out when my rent was due, and all of that stuff that gets really complicated and really stressful really fast. So a budget is what we do ahead of time, is we list out all the categories that we need in our life. It could be your rent or your mortgage, cell phone bill. So you're going to have fixed expenses that are kind of all the time, along with a car insurance, maybe a car payment. Groceries are going to be a regular thing. We can kind of add in our variable and then our kind of fun expenses, restaurants, vacation, clothing, hair supplies, or, all that kind of personal hygiene stuff. And then once we add all those things together, we assign dollar amounts to each of those categories. So what that looks like is, I only want to spend $100 this month on groceries, or I only want to spend $100 this month on restaurants, right? Whatever number it is. And then you just make sure that all of those numbers equal out to your monthly salary, because we don't want to be budgeting more money than we make, right? That will put us back into debt. And that is the furthest place that we want to be right now. So earlier we were talking about tracking your spending, and that exercise really comes in handy for this part because we are able to assign real numbers to things that we are going to be putting into our budget. So instead of just picking a number out of thin air for what to assign to restaurants, we actually know, okay, in the last 3 months, I've spent an average of $100 on restaurants. So I can probably, if I want to keep my lifestyle level, I can assign $100 to that category. Or if I know I can reel it in a little bit, then maybe I want to try $75, right? And this is not really necessary for things that are like fixed. Car insurance, car payment, cell phone bill, that costs the same amount of money every month. And so you just put that number in the budget item. But the 3-month tracker, the 3-month exercise of looking at your expenses really comes in handy when you are unsure of how much you spend in a certain category, or you maybe want to see where you're spending too much in certain categories and you maybe just want to eliminate it altogether. So That is why a budget is very different from tracking your expenses. While they work together very nicely, and it's important to start with tracking your expenses before you can really get a good handle on a budget. They are definitely not the same. And so when I ask clients all the time, "Hey, do you budget?" or "Tell me about your budget," and they're like, "Yep, I will. I got that. I'm so good at that." And then I hear, I try to spend only around $200 in groceries because that number feels safe to me. Or, yeah, I normally don't buy that, so I don't even really worry about that. It just kind of comes out of like random categories, right? That to me is more like this fluffy guideline to our spending. It is good. It's better than nothing. It provides perimeters of, okay, this is my comfort level and I'm allowed to spend within this. But a budget, when you get it actually zero-based budgeting, look that up. I will also talk about it in other videos. When you get it to the zero base, when your income matches your budget, then you can make sure you're working every penny to its fullest, and you no longer have this idea around how much you spend in certain categories. You know exactly to the penny how much you're allowed to spend, and that way you have more money to go towards all the fun things that you want in life. So that is a budget. It is not as complicated as it sounds, I promise, and it is something that definitely you should get started with today because, like I said, it changed my life. It made me, or it allowed me to pay off over $46,000 in 20 months off of just a regular income. All right, so remember, tracking your expenses doesn't help you accomplish your goals. It doesn't tell you how far towards your goal you are, right? Like what's your status. It doesn't tell you whether you can or cannot afford something within your income level, right? Tracking your expenses just tells you what you've already spent money on, and that's not really that helpful, but it is helpful to helping you get started on a budget. So if you need to get started on a budget today, go track your past expenses, outline a budget. There's other videos on how to create your budget, and yeah, and you got this. Remember, one step at a time is better than no steps at all. Every progress, every day is worth something. All right, so that's what we have for today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it with a friend, and remember that you got this. And all this work that we're doing is just so that you can reach your goals. It's not about anybody else except yourself. So get started today. Good luck, and let me know how it goes. Comment below.